Coming up, President Trump continues to call for the closing of the southern border as a surge of asylum seekers comes into the United States. And coal miners gathered in West Virginia Wednesday to discuss ways to help active and retired employees protect their benefits. Plus, Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes is discussing a new study into the problems veterans face here in the Commonwealth.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:29 on Thursday, April the 4th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News This Morning. Well, yesterday was absolutely beautiful and temperatures today should be even better, but Brandon, we don't get all of that for long.
We pay the price like we always do when it gets very nice. When it comes to temperatures, we're going to see conditions deteriorate, but this morning it's the clouds. Thankfully, those clouds have held in some of that residual heat from yesterday. McKee this morning, all quiet. As we take a look at the camera network, we look at US 119 up on top of Whitesburg Pine Mountain, all quiet up that way as well. We take a look at satellite radar. Actually, I forgot to turn it on, so we're not going to take a look at that, but there's some clouds across the area this morning. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s, so again, not nearly as cold as it was this time yesterday. In fact, it's anywhere between 9 and 12 degrees, 13, 14 degrees colder than or warmer rather than it was this time yesterday. 12-hour planner, 72 by 2 o'clock, 76 by 5 o'clock, but the clouds will start to gradually increase after backing off a little bit this morning later today. The rest of that forecast coming up here in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. Well, President Trump is praising Mexico for apprehending migrants at the Mexican southern border. But the White House wants a more long-term commitment from the Mexican government and from Congress. The president continued his calls Wednesday for the border closing if a solution is not found soon.
Now, if they don't, or if we don't make a deal with Congress, the border is going to be closed, 100%.
Critics say closing ports of entry would lead to a negative impact on the economy and could dry out the supply of car parts, beer, and produce like avocados. Well, the heads of national intelligence say they are gravely concerned about President Trump's safety at his Mar-a-Lago resort after a Chinese national was caught illegally entering the president's vacation home. She was carrying 2 Chinese passports, 4 cell phones, a laptop, an external hard drive, and a thumb drive containing malware.
A lot of people refer to Mar-a-Lago as the winter White House. It's not the White House. It's not a government facility. It's a private commercial entity.
If guests are coming and the interest is to maximize the number of guests and there's no or inadequate vetting of those guests, then it's a problem.
President Trump said he is not concerned and praised the Secret Service for catching her. She could face up to 6 years in prison if convicted. Thousands of families could have a tough time filling their food pantries under a White House proposal. The Trump administration wants to limit the ability of states to waive current employment requirements for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. According to the Department of Agriculture, more than 750,000 people could lose their benefits under the administration's plan. Meanwhile, White House advisor Ivanka Trump is planning a trip to Africa as part of a global women's initiative she is leading. She is planning to visit Ethiopia and the Ivory Coast over 4 days. This will be her first visit to the region since the White House launched the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative in February. Well, former Vice President Joe Biden is speaking for the first time about allegations of inappropriate touching. The controversy is degenerating discussions about the entire Me Too movement. Biden posted a video on Twitter Wednesday after 4 women came forward to say he touched them in a way that made them feel uncomfortable.
Social norms have begun to change, they've shifted, and the boundaries of protecting personal space have been reset, and I get it.
Now, Biden says his political style has always been to share a human connection. President Trump poked fun at the situation at a fundraiser in Washington on Tuesday night, but added that he wished the former vice president luck. Biden's team has released quotes from female friends and former colleagues who say he never crossed the line. Well, coal miners aiming to protect their benefits and the benefits of retired miners and widows met in Charleston, West Virginia Wednesday. The United Mine Workers of America hosted the conference to discuss the union's efforts to pass legislation in Congress that will save pensions for more than 106,000 workers. It also calls for an extension of a tax that finances medical treatment and basic expenses for miners suffering from black lung.
We're facing, right as we gather here today, somewhere around 2023 or the latter part of 2022, the plan becoming insolvent. If it becomes insolvent, then PBGC, Public Benefit Guarantee Corporation, will collapse too, which protects everybody's pensions in America.
Now, Roberts believes there is enough votes in the House, but says he's unsure what type of influence the Senate will face. Now, also in West Virginia, defense contractor Northrop Grumman is expanding. Governor Jim Justice announced Wednesday the company will create up to 500 more jobs over 5 years at its plant in Mineral County. Justice says the move was supplemented by economic incentives from the state. The company is the largest defense contractor and the third largest manufacturing employer in the state. Well, we have learned when the city of Martin plans to have their second reading on a controversial annexation deal. The mayor sent a letter to Prestonsburg dated March 23rd. It says they intend to vote on April 10th. It is the only notice we have seen of a second reading. Now, we asked the city to begin notifying us of meetings, which still has not happened. The Attorney General's office ruled just last month that the city violated the state's open record laws by not releasing documents on the proposal to community members. Now, a new law will license midwives here in Kentucky. Being a midwife was never illegal, but the industry has not been regulated in Kentucky since 1975. That means pretty much anyone could call themselves a midwife. Senate Bill 84 lays out a framework for home births and equips certified professional midwives with a license. Advocates hope the new law will improve relationships between doctors and midwives and ultimately benefit future moms.
As a consumer, when I hire a midwife for my home birth, I can ask her if she is licensed. If she is licensed, then I know that she meets a certain standard of care.
The goal is to start issuing licenses in Kentucky by the summer of 2020. Well, the Appalachian Regional Commission announced grants aimed at supporting local responses to the substance abuse epidemic in Kentucky and Ohio. The ARC awarded a more than $1 million grant to West Care in Pikeville. The money will help convert a building into a residential treatment facility for women. Now, Kentucky Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes is focused on a new report on the health of the state's veterans. She says too many veterans are addicted to opioids, and she wants to see more treatment options like medical marijuana to help them. Grimes also says it is important for different agencies that serve veterans to work together.
It's about collaboration and, importantly, making sure that open lines of communication exist. Today, as we're here at our VA, we are talking to the Joint Executive Council on Veterans Organizations, over 26 organizations statewide that are coming together for the benefit of making sure that the Commonwealth is a better place for our veterans.
Kentucky has more than 300,000 veterans. Well, the University of Kentucky has taken immediate action after meeting with a group of students earlier this week. One of those agreements was to cover up the controversial mural inside Memorial Hall. A white sheet was draped over the painting Wednesday. UK leaders say they will eventually take it down. In the past, they have tried to add context to the mural, first created in the 1930s. Well, police in Corbin hope you can help them find these two people you see on your screen. They are looking for Eddie Hoskins of Corbin and Amy Mosley of East Bernstadt. Both are facing drug and gun charges. If you know where they might be, please call police. And police continue looking for clues in the case of a missing Central Kentucky woman. Today marks 3 months since Savannah Spurlock was last seen. Investigators searched a second Garrett County home on Tuesday. They're not saying what they found. Spurlock disappeared after leaving a Lexington bar with several men. Police have not arrested anyone in the case. And 2 Arkansas men are facing felony charges this morning after a reported night of drinking and testing out bulletproof vests. This is a bizarre story. Benton County deputies say Charles Ferris and Christopher Hicks were sitting on the back porch of a home when they decided to shoot each other while wearing bulletproof vests. The affidavit states Hicks shot Ferris, then Ferris got mad because it hurt. The court documents say he then shot Hicks several times in the back. The shots left bruises on Hicks. Both men have been charged with aggravated assault. Well, we first told you about a slide along US 23 in Ivel that shut down the southbound lanes in late February. There's been a lot of work done since then. Most of it cannot be seen due to where it's at. Crews are atop the mountain where the slide originated, clearing boulders and other debris that could potentially fall. Transportation officials say there are 270 locations where work is needed in KYTC's District 12 region.
This is one of the most, if not the most high profile and one of the more complicated ones that we've had to deal with thus far.
Now they hope to possibly open one of the southbound lanes in the coming days. Well, coming up, country superstar and West Virginia native Brad Paisley helps launch a very special grocery store.
So it's cold this morning for most locations, and most locations will be very warm later today. What can we expect in the coming days? On the full forecast, about 3 minutes.